Hello. Welcome to Part 7A of the Provider Flex Enrollment Tool video series. This video will cover how to complete the ownership and disclosure section of the application for enrollment with the Nevada Medicaid and Nevada Checkup programs for individuals and sole proprietors. Before we look at the ownership and disclosure section, let's see how you must identify yourself in the enrollment information section. Choose the option that most closely describes the entity that you are enrolling. You'll select whether you are an individual provider or a sole proprietorship. For our scenario, we're selecting B, sole proprietorship. Please note that groups cannot enroll as sole proprietors. Remember that you cannot go back and change your options in this section once you have completed it, and selected the Lock Answers and Proceed button at the end of it. If you accidentally enter incorrect information in this section and lock your answers, you must withdraw your application and start a new one. Now that we've reviewed how to identify yourself in the enrollment information section, let's pick up in the ownership and disclosure section. The first page in the ownership and disclosure section is an introduction to ownership. Completion of the ownership section is a condition of participation in the Nevada Medicaid program. To find out more about the regulations, you can select the Click Here hyperlink. This section also explains how Medicaid defines terms, like ownership and managing employee. It's important to note that individuals who have reported themselves as a sole proprietor are required to enter both an owner and a managing employee in this section. Other individuals, however, are not required to enter any ownership and may skip this section if they don't have any other authorized individuals to disclose. If you are an individual provider, you only need to answer the questions on the Disclosure Questions page. Sole proprietors are the exception. Select Next to move to the Provider Ownership page. Once you finish reviewing the introduction, you'll move to provider ownership. Keep in mind that not completing this section correctly is one of the biggest reasons for returns. As you can see in the example, the application shows Test Provider as the enrolling provider. Now it's time to add the ownership information to this page by selecting Add a Record. First, you'll select the type of entity. Notice that you can add the owner information here, as well as information for an authorized representative or a managing employee. For sole proprietors, you must add yourself as the owner and at least one managing employee to the application. We'll start by selecting owner. Then, you enter the percentage of ownership. For a sole proprietor, it will be 100%. Next, you complete the owner's demographic and address information, including an email address. Keep in mind that you must complete all fields with a red asterisk next to them and that the enrolling individual is the owner. Scroll down to the question below the email address in the pop-up window to answer whether you own more than 5% of any other business, whether it's healthcare related or not. If you select yes, the system adds a table on the Other Business Interests page that you must also complete once you finish adding your information to this page. Now, you select the Add button to add your information as the owner. When you've added your information, the application takes you back to the Provider Ownership page. Notice that your information is now showing in a table. Now it's time to add your managing employee's information, which you can do by selecting Add a Record. And then selecting Managing Employee and/or Agent for type of entity. Notice that the screen for the managing employee does not include a field to enter a percentage of ownership. Other than that, you'll complete the information on this page the same way as you did for the owner information, entering the employee's information into all the required fields. For the employee indicator, select whether they are an agent, a managing employee, or both. In our example, we are selecting both. When you're done, select the Add button to add the managing employee's information. Notice that the table now includes both your information and the managing employee's information. If you answered yes to owning 5% or more of any other business when you added your information as the owner, the Other Business Interests page populates with a table for you to add information about any other pertinent businesses. If you answered no to the question, this page does not include the table and you can skip it. Now, you can select the Next button to move to the Disclosure Questions page. You are now ready to complete the Disclosure Questions page, the last page in the ownership and disclosure section. You must complete all of these questions, reading each one carefully and answering yes or no honestly to each one. If you answer yes to any of the questions, you may be asked to provide additional information or documentation. Once you have completed all the disclosure questions, you can select the Next button. This finishes the ownership and disclosure section. This concludes Part 7A of the Provider Flex Enrollment Tool video series. Should you require further assistance, please contact Gainwell Technologies, the fiscal agent for Nevada Medicaid, by phone or email. The contact center may be reached at 1-877-638-3472. Emailing Nevada Provider Training at gainwelltechnologies.com will connect you with the field service team. Please include your NPI and other pertinent information to be routed to the appropriate representative. Further information related to Nevada Medicaid can be found on the website at medicaid.nv.gov. For information specific to enrollment, please visit the Enrollment subpage of the Nevada Medicaid website. Direct links can be found in the description of this video. This video was produced by Gainwell Technologies on behalf of Nevada Medicaid. Thank you for watching.